This is a tutorial on how to import data from Excel to MATLAB. First, we can use import data. So here you saw we have the solid mechanics lab. Click, and then you go to this interface. This is all your data as in the Excel sheet. Instead of using it output at table, we output this as column vectors so we can directly call. We want the force and strain, so we select those two columns. And then we select the area where we have our data. We don't want to replace the rows with NaNs, but instead we want to exclude those rows. So we just exclude the unimportable cells. And then we click on Import Data Selection to the MATLAB workspace. Now on your workspace, you see instead of having the actual name, the variable name becomes thickness and width. So your thickness in this case is actually a force. So let's do a right click and rename this into force. So similarly, we are going to do this with the width, which is actually your strain. So this is just because of MATLAB takes the variable names as of the first value of that entire columns. So now we have our force and strain in the workspace. If instead of import into column vectors, you import into table, we have a second method, which is to import data using command to the workspace as a table, take the data we want from that table. We know this data is actually in our download folder, so let's first move of our MATLAB to change the current folder into the download folder. And the name of this is called Solid Lab, so let's I found this one and I found the name of it in this folder. So we use read table, and when I type in read table, now it shows me some hint. So we need to put a file name here. So this file name is actually a string. Instead of directly typing the name, you want to put the quotation here. So I type in Solid Labs 1, and now if I click tab on my keyboard, it'll be able to show you entire name, and I click enter. Now I have all the values as answers in my workspace. Well, I don't like this variable name. In this case, I want to redo this. So a quick way to do is just press the upper arrow on your keyboard so that can call your previous command. So I assign this read value into this data and put a semicolon. Now in our workspace, we have our data, which is a table. So if you see the length, the force and strain only have 1095 of the elements, but for data, this is like slightly more. This is because if we click on the data and take a look at the data structure, we do not have the data until the 9th row. So now we want to only taking this thickness and width column from this table. So what we are going to do is we are going to call that from our command window and save those into our workspace as column vectors. I give a new variable name. I call this one force1. We want to call this one from a table. We actually use this address, which is a dot. So we use data dot thickness. Remember here the capital is very important, and since this is going to be from the tens value, if we do a 10 column but then put a comma in between, that is only bring us one value. So we want to go from 10 to the end. This is what we type, and now you see this force 1. Oh, instead of 1095, we got 1094. So we're missing the first value. So maybe instead of going from 10, let's go from 9. And now you're able to see I got this force value. Okay. And I am just going to do the same for my strain. So in this case, I'll change the variable into the width. I'm going to call this one strain 1. Now the strain 1 shows up in our workspace, and now you can compare the strain and strain 1 value. They are the same. All right, so that's all for how we import data into MATLAB.